Hey, you're here for your movie fix, so let's get right to it. Today we're talking about five, count them five, legitimately awesome modern day westerns. Now, these westerns are a little newer and they also tend to be a little bit more obscure films that not a lot of people have seen. So, if you like a great western, you certainly came to the right video, and we've saved the best for first. Number five on this list is Old Henry. Now, Old Henry is a movie that stars Tim Blake Nelson. He's a great character actor. He's been around in the industry for a number of years, but he plays a guy who lives out in a rural, isolated area with his son. They live in relative solitude, and one day a bank robber comes in. He's injured, he's on the run, and he's looking for a place to stay. So Tim Blake Nelson's character allows him to stay until he gets healed up, and then he can move on. But that's really all I'm going to tell you about this movie at this point. But this is an incredible film. This is one of my favorite westerns of all time. It's also one of my favorite movies that came out in the last 5 or 10 years. And it's got mystery, intrigue, it's got some action. It's also got a great supporting cast that includes Stephen Dorff, who plays a lawman who's trying to track down this bank robber. But this is a phenomenal film. I just know a lot of people have not seen this movie, so I hope you check it out. But that brings us to number four on this list. It's called Bone Tomahawk. Now, Bone Tomahawk stars Kurt Russell. He plays a sheriff in a small town in the Old West, and one of the townspeople goes missing, and he organizes a search party, a rescue party to track her down and find her. So that's really the premise of this film. But man, this movie is pretty gritty and intense. It's also legitimately suspenseful. Also has some supernatural components to it without telling you a whole lot about it. So I hope you check this movie out. This is one of my favorite performances of all time in Kurt Russell's career. It's also another one of my favorite movies that came out in the last 5 or 10 years. But this is an incredible film. I just know a lot of people who have not seen it. Also has a phenomenal supporting cast that includes Patrick Wilson, Lily Simmons, Richard Jenkins, Matthew Fox, and David Arquette. So I hope you check this movie out. But that brings us to number three on this list. It's called The Hateful Eight. Now, The Hateful Eight is a movie that also stars Kurt Russell, and that's one of the reasons I put it next to Bone Tomahawk. And he has similar facial hair in this movie. He basically filmed these films back to back, so he kind of looks the same, but he's playing a different character in this film. He plays a bounty hunter. He's transferring a fugitive, somebody he's captured, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, and he's bringing her to an area where he can basically trade her for money since he's captured her. And, I don't want to tell you a whole lot more about this movie, but this is one of the more well-known westerns on this list. It was directed by Quentin Tarantino. It's one of his best films, but he shot this movie in Panavision. It was an old camera cinematography setup that was used for the classic westerns of the past, and this was his nod, his homage to those traditional westerns that were shot. There's widescreen, majestic views of the landscape, but it's also a Tarantino movie, so it's got some great dialogue. It's got its own share of intrigue, and it too has a phenomenal supporting cast that includes Walton Goggins, Samuel Jackson, Bruce Dern, and Channing Tatum. So this is an incredible film. If you haven't seen it, I hope you check it out. But that brings us to number two on this list. It's called 3:10 to Yuma. Now, 3:10 to Yuma is about a guy played by Christian Bale, just a regular guy. He's a farmer. He's a Civil War veteran. And there's an outlaw on the loose played by Russell Crowe. And he kind of is around when they capture him, and he's brought into the service of helping transport Russell Crowe's character so he can be put in the custody of the U.S. Marshals, but they have to get on a train to do that. Now, I don't want to tell you a whole lot more about this movie, but man, this is a great film. Russell Crowe plays a great bad guy, a villain in this movie. There's plenty of action, plenty of shootouts in this film. It also really shows the characters in this film. Christian Bale's character and Russell Crowe's have a healthy respect for each other, even though they have an adversarial relationship in this movie. This is one of my favorite westerns of all time. And I just don't know a lot of people who've seen it. It was a little obscure when it was released, and it's been a few years since it came out. It's got a great supporting cast with Gretchen Mol, Peter Fonda, and Ben Foster, so I hope you check it out. But that brings us to number one on this list. It's called Open Range. Now, Open Range is a little bit more of a traditional Western. It came out about 20 years ago. It was directed by Kevin Costner, and it's one of my favorite Kevin Costner performances, in addition to being one of his finest directorial efforts. But this movie's about guys who drive cattle across open range. There used to be a lot of open land back in the day, and you were able to do that legally, drive your cattle and use the range as you needed to as you were passing through. Well, there's some corporate ranching interests who don't like these people doing this, and they kind of come up against one another in this film. I don't want to tell you a whole lot more about it, but this is one of the best Westerns ever made. It's got an incredible supporting cast with Robert Duvall, Michael Gambon, who plays kind of the villain rancher in this film, and Kim Coates, who plays one of the rancher's henchmen. This is an incredible film. I hope you see this movie. I hope you see all the movies on this list if you've not seen them, or maybe revisit them. Now, you may disagree with me about the inclusion of these Westerns on this list. You may also disagree about the rankings, but that's great. We certainly encourage that kind of behavior around here. Please feel free to disagree. Please comment and subscribe, because that's why we talk movies. But thanks for being here. We'll see you for the next one.